Hey everybody, I wanted to talk about weight loss today. So I wanted to specifically talk a little bit about GLP-1s, also known as Ozempic, has some other names too, and just weight loss in general. So first, Ozempic. I think when I heard about Ozempic a while ago, a year or two ago, my first exposure was, oh, it sounds like that's some kind of miracle drug that celebrities are taking, and it sounds a little dangerous. And that was basically all that I thought about it. But then the next thing that happened was I listened to a podcast with an LDS influencer. Her name is Corinne Stocco. And she talked about how she had been on a GLP-1 similar to Ozempic, tirzepatide specifically. And I was super surprised listening to that because she's somebody that I consider to be very faithful and thoughtful. And so seeing that she was taking that drug surprised me because I thought it was just kind of a crazy drug that celebrities were taking. And, watching her podcast, she talked with her doctor on it, I think, and it just completely changed my perspective on it. I also watched an interview with Oprah, and Oprah's trying really hard to kind of change some of the language around it and show real experiences that people are having. That also opened my mind. And then just personally, a lot of my family members have started taking it. So several of my mom's sisters, my brother and my sister, and all of them have had a lot of success. And so, I feel like maybe there's a little bit in the media that makes it seem like it's a terrible thing. And then when you actually talk to people who have used the drug, it's maybe a different experience than what you're hearing just from mainstream media. And so in general, when they talk about Ozempic in the media, there's a lot of like, oh, these people are very lazy, and there's so many negative side effects, and maybe a little bit of fear mongering around the drug. And so seeing like these other sources where there's some more of the positives coming out, it helps you have more of a balanced approach. And so one of the things with weight loss in our society is I feel like we've made it into a moral issue. So in the society that we live in, we have decided that people who are thin are morally superior to people who are overweight. And I think that's a false assumption. So in our society, we assume that people who are overweight are lazy, they indulge too much, and they have poor habits. And that thin people are people who are doing all of the right things, and they should be praised for what they're doing. But when you think about it, and you think about the people that you realize that that is incorrect. That not everyone who's overweight has poor habits. And a lot of people are overweight because of their genetics. And so I think if you also look at the food that is available in our country, it leads to obesity. Because if you think about American food and when they introduce it into other countries, those people also become obese. And so that's a really good indication that it's not a moral failing of somebody, it's humans in general. When they're exposed to this food, it's very difficult to not be overweight. And so I'm sure a lot of you have read a lot of things about our modern food in the United States and how it is very different than it used to be. And so sometimes we're like, oh, our ancestors were so much better than us. And it's like, well, they also didn't have the kind of food that we had. A lot of the modern processed foods that we have are the way that they are because of marketing and because of money, right? Like somebody was trying to make the best chip possible. And so they came up with Doritos, right? And so it's really doesn't make sense to judge yourself for eating something when somebody is in a lab trying to make it as delicious as possible, trying to make it impossible for you to stop eating it. And so, I don't know, I think you need to take all of these factors into play rather than just saying, oh, this person is lazy, this person is a bad person. And instead, when you look at the context of the world that we live in and the genetics and the food and the environment, all of those things come into play rather than just, this is a bad person, or even thinking, I'm a bad person. And so when you're able to step back and see all of these factors at play, it helps you to find solutions rather than just beating yourself up and saying that you are the problem, right? Because all of these cards are stacked against you. And so, when we don't make weight loss a moral issue and instead we look for solutions, then we can just see that everyone is just trying their best and is trying to come to the healthiest version of themselves. And so sometimes when we think about Ozempic, we, especially if you don't have a lot of information about it or haven't seen a lot of the positive sides of it, people assume that somebody's going to be taking Ozempic for the reason that they would be taking Ozempic. And maybe that would be for vain reasons, just to be super thin and be there, be super fit or something. And, you need to kind of take yourself out of the equation and look at every person as an individual, rather than assuming that somebody is going to be doing it for the reasons that you're doing it. So I want to tell you a little bit about my weight story in my life. So growing up, I was a normal weight, I guess you call it. And then once I hit puberty, I became overweight. And I didn't change my eating habits or anything. It was just once I started puberty, on the BMI scale, I turned into being an overweight person. And so I've always weighed a lot. And I remember I had this conversation with my cousins when I was about that age. And, they're talking about what does everybody weigh or whatever. And I was with my boy cousins and I told them how much I weighed, and they were so surprised because they're like, you do not look like that's what you weigh. But I don't know, for whatever reason, my genetics, I just weigh a lot. And, it's interesting to have teenage daughters because you can see this as well. And it really helped me put things in perspective, when it started happening to my daughters, where I'm just like, see, this is just how I'm made. My daughter is a healthy person and she, it has the same issue as me. And so thankfully I haven't really had any huge issues with body shaming or not liking myself or anything like that. Even though I've been considered overweight my entire adult life, I haven't had a lot of issues with the way that I look, and I'm happy with what I see in the mirror. And even having babies and everything, I always was able to get back to a weight where I felt comfortable, I felt good in my skin, and I liked the way I looked. So the thing that happened was in 2020 or 2021, with my sisters, we did this thing where we tried to reduce the sugar that we were eating. And so I did that for a year, drastically reduced the amount of sugar I ate. And I lost about 15 pounds over the course of a year, which is not a huge deal. But then at the end of the year, then I went back to my normal eating habits. I maybe ate a little bit less sugar than I did previously, but basically I was back to normal. And over the course of the next 2 years, I gained 40 pounds. And one of the things I learned is that when you do restrictive diets, it can actually cause you to gain all the weight back and then keep going. And I didn't consider it super restrictive, but I don't know. And I even went to the doctor and was trying to figure out if there was something wrong with my thyroid, or what was happening. And everything came back normal. The only other thing I could think of was, we were remodeling our house and it was super stressful. Maybe that was part of where the weight gain came from. I'd also had stopped having babies, and so maybe my hormones were changing. But anyway, so I gained about 40 pounds. And when I went to the doctor, she said, according to your BMI, you're just over into the obese category. And she said, I'm not worried about it, but yeah, you are, according to this BMI. And I have never been obese in my life, and also that comes with a lot of health risks, right, to be in the obese category. And so I was just like, this is not something that I feel like is okay to just live with. Like, I think I need to change something so that I can live my life and not have these additional health risks that could possibly happen. And of course, as you age, right, you gain weight too. So I was just like, I don't know, this is not a good place for me to be. So I looked into some online courses. They're called Food Freedom. Because one thing about me is I don't like to do things that are extreme. I don't like diets that are like super, you can't eat any of these food groups, cut out all bread and all that kind of stuff. Just because I know that it's not sustainable long term. And so I'm always looking for things that have a more balanced approach. And so, yeah, I found 2 different courses that I really liked, all around food freedom and just kind of explaining why you eat the things you do and helping you figure out cravings and emotional eating and all those things. And both of those were awesome. But yeah, I didn't really lose any weight doing it, which, I mean, that wasn't necessarily their goal. Their goal is to help you have a healthier relationship with food. But I guess one of the things I realized is that when you are trying to lose weight, you have to cut your calories. Like, there's no other way around it. And I think for a long time I thought, oh, maybe if you exercise more or you do intermittent fasting or something, right, then you're going to be able to lose weight. But I mean, no matter what, like, you have to eat less than is your normal in order to lose weight. And this is probably part of why I'm heavier, but I'm always hungry, like, just always hungry. And I feel like I eat more than other people. Like, when I'm subbing and I'm eating in the teacher's lounge, and I'm just like, how in the world is that enough food for that person? And so, yeah, just like anytime trying to lose weight is just excruciating because it's like, it's a huge battle of willpower. And that was something that I realized. So I'm now taking a GLP-1, and, it helps you. One of the things it does is make you less hungry. And it helped me realize that it's like the experience I'm having in my body is different than the experience that other people are having in their bodies. And I think knowing that can help us have more compassion for each other. When you realize, like, I don't know, it's really hurtful when people say, oh, you just need to buckle down and just not eat so much. And I think for some people you can do that, right? But for other people, they're having a completely different experience. And, it's maybe not as simple as that for other people. So anyway, my husband started taking tirzepatide, and he was having success. And so finally I was like, I think I'm going to take this and see. We're really blessed because we have a health savings account. And so we're able to afford to take these medications. I know that's something that keeps a lot of people from taking it. So we're really grateful that we have the funds so we can, and we feel like it's worth it for all of the health benefits that you get from not being obese. And so I started taking it, I don't know, a month ago, or a little over a month ago. And my second week, I had some pretty negative side effects that my family knows about, and I actually ended up in the ER. So I had diarrhea for 4 days where I couldn't get out of bed and couldn't eat anything. And then I developed hives. I don't know what was going on. But anyway, they took care of me. I'm totally fine now. I've taken plenty of doses since then. And I have also learned that your injection site can change your side effects. So I've been totally fine since then. But I guess my goal with taking it is, I would like to lose those 40 pounds. I even if I lost 40 pounds, I'm still considered overweight for my height. I'm 5'8". But I know that that is a healthy weight that I maintained most of my adult life. I was within 10 pounds of that weight, and I feel comfortable with that weight, even if it's still overweight. Um, and, I'm at a place in my life where I want to do what's best for my body. I want to, I'm not trying to take this medication and just lose a quick 40 pounds in 5 months or something. It's like so that's part of why I'm on the lowest dose. I'm just trying to use it as a tool to help me to curb some of those cravings and reduce my appetite, because like I said, I'm so hungry all the time. And it's been really helpful. And so, I'm really grateful. I feel like I think modern medicine is amazing. And especially when you think about some of the problems that we have created in our food culture as Americans, not us specifically, but our ancestors, right? Unknowingly created some issues with our food. It's amazing that modern medicine can help us solve some of these issues that we have, or at least provide tools to combat them. I was with my daughter's class at the history museum last week, and there was an iron lung, and I was talking to the kids about it, and I was like, this is an iron lung. This is what people would have to live in when they had polio. And I said, and now, because of vaccines, polio is not a problem anymore, and that's incredible, right? Like, modern medicine is a huge blessing. And so I think I really love solutions, and I think we don't need to shame people for seeking solutions to problems. I think there's this misconception that people who are on drugs, taking medications, are somehow weak and taking the easy way out. But I would like you to talk to some people who have taken it, and I would guess that most of them, if not all of them, have tried to lose weight. And so, this is a tool that is helping a lot of people finally get into healthy weight ranges, which is a really amazing thing. One of the things that Oprah talked about was high blood pressure medication, and how, we don't shame people who are on high blood pressure medication. It's just something that they have to do, and a lot of it has to do with genetics. And yeah, we can show compassion to people who also have a predisposition, because of their genetics, towards obesity. And especially the fact that almost all of my aunts are on it on my mom's side, and that's where, from the way that I look, you can tell I'm very similarly built to my aunts. Is just an indication that it's like, this is something that is bigger than me. It's not just something I'm struggling with. It's it has to do with my family and where I come from, and also the country that I live in, right, and the food that's available to me. But yeah, I just wanted to share my experience, just because I feel like if you haven't looked into these drugs, then you might be more inclined to judge others who are deciding to take them, or you might think that the person is making a poor choice. But yeah, I think the more we know about others and the reasons they make the decisions they make, we can have more compassion, and we can love each other better. And so, yeah, that's what I wanted to share today.